Good evening, folks. I want to ask you something deeply personal. Have you ever just sat in your driveway for 15 minutes after getting home, just to catch your breath before facing the family? Or maybe you've lingered a little too long in the shower, simply because it's the only quiet space left? If you're in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s, you might think those moments are a sign of stress, or perhaps that nagging feeling of loneliness. But what if I told you that avoiding your quiet time, your solitude, might be the single biggest threat to your long-term mental clarity and independence in your golden years? As a geriatrician who has helped folks navigate the challenges of aging for over 30 years, I've seen it hundreds of times. Patients like my friend Frank, always busy, always on, and completely burned out. They spend so much time wearing the mask for others that they forget who they really are. That exhaustion isn't just physical, it silently strips away your ability to think clearly, to make sound decisions, and ultimately, it puts your overall well-being at risk. The truth is, solitude is not a demon. It's the greatest luxury and your best, most affordable medicine. In this video, I'm going to break down why we avoid being alone, and most importantly, I'll give you 3 simple, free, and scientifically proven golden blessings to embrace this quiet time and reclaim your true, vibrant self. And please, stick around until the very end, because the third blessing is the one I see most often helping my patients finally get the deep, restful sleep they've been missing for years. Knowing this could transform how you feel every single day. Before we dive in, if that feeling of being constantly on feels familiar, please comment a simple yes below. It shows me you understand, and it shows others they are not alone. Okay, let's get started. Part 1. Why are adults so drained? You know, I've had hundreds of patients in their 70s and 80s come into my practice, and they all tell me the same thing. They don't feel sick, but they are utterly exhausted. This isn't just the physical tiredness that comes with age, it's a deep spiritual fatigue. I call this the role overload trap. The simple truth is, as we get older, we don't have just one role anymore. We are a parent, a grandparent, a volunteer, a spouse, a friend, and sometimes even a person who needs care. We try to be perfect in every role, and the constant switching between them, from caregiver to listener, from mentor to mentee, causes tremendous mental wear and tear. It's like a computer that never shuts down. We end up wearing a social mask for so long that we truly forget what our real face looks like. The personal benefit you are craving right now is the feeling of comfort and authenticity. And the only way to get it is to learn how to shed the armor as soon as you step through your front door. Use those quiet moments, even just 5 minutes of peace, to find your true self again. If this makes sense to you, please comment "Armor Off" below. Let that be your gentle reminder to take off that mental armor today. This fatigue is made worse by the second major issue, the lie of loneliness. From the earliest days of our lives, when we were wide-eyed children navigating the chaotic playgrounds of schoolyards and family gatherings, society drilled into us a singular, unyielding mantra: you must have lots of friends. It wasn't just advice, it was a commandment, etched into our psyches like an ancient proverb passed down through generations. Picture it: the awkward kid in the corner, scribbling alone during recess, branded with whispers of loser or weirdo. Being alone wasn't merely inconvenient, it was a glaring social failure, a scarlet letter of inadequacy that could scar you for life. Worse still, it carried the sting of shame, as if solitude were a personal defect, a confession that you were somehow unlovable, unworthy of the warmth of human connection. This insidious fear didn't vanish with the acne and growth spurts of adolescence. No, it clung to us like a shadow, lengthening and darkening as the years piled on. It infiltrated our young adult lives, whispering doubts during college parties we didn't enjoy and networking events that left us drained. And then, inexorably, it shadowed us into our golden years. The phase of life we were promised would be a sunlit meadow of relaxation, wisdom, and well-deserved repose. Instead, that childhood terror morphed into a more sophisticated beast, the dread of irrelevance. In retirement communities and senior centers, where the air hums with the chatter of bridge games and potluck suppers, we find ourselves performing the same desperate dance. We chase the illusion of belonging, terrified that without a bustling calendar of social engagements, we'll be seen as the forgotten one, the elder with no one to call, no laughter echoing in their empty halls. Oh, how this fear exacts its toll. It squanders our most precious resources, time and energy, those finite currencies that grow ever scarcer with each passing decade. Consider the retiree finally free from the grind of a 40-year career, who fills their days not with the pursuits that light their soul, perhaps tending a garden that blooms with memories or losing themselves in the pages of a well-worn novel, but with a relentless parade of meaningless social obligations. There's the neighborhood coffee clatch, where conversations loop endlessly around the same tired complaints about weather and aches, offering no nourishment for the spirit. The book club that devolves into gossip sessions, far from the intellectual spark it promised. The charity luncheons and alumni reunions attended not out of joy, but out of a gnawing compulsion to prove we're still in the game. We drag ourselves to these gatherings, clubs, and events, plastering on smiles that feel like masks, all because the alternative, being perceived as a person with no one, feels like a fate worse than quiet boredom. It's a performance, a hollow charade, born of that primordial fear. What if they think I'm alone? What if that makes me invisible? I've witnessed this tragedy unfold countless times in my years as a therapist, specializing in the emotional landscapes of later life. In my practice, the stories pour out like confessions, long held in the dark. There's Margaret, a spry 72-year-old widow who, after her husband's passing, threw herself into every senior mixer in town. She hosted dinners for acquaintances she barely knew, coordinated volunteer drives for causes that stirred no passion in her heart. "I can't bear the thought of eating alone," she'd say, her voice cracking over the phone. Yet after the last guest departed, after the clatter of dishes subsided, and the house fell silent once more, Margaret would sink into her armchair, staring at the walls adorned with photos of crowds she no longer recognized as her own circle. The noise had filled the space, but it hadn't touched the void within. She remained as empty as before, perhaps emptier, for the effort had only amplified her exhaustion. Or take Harold, a former engineer whose retirement was meant to be a canvas for his lifelong dream of painting landscapes from his travels. Instead, he joined a men's golf league, not because he loved the fairways, but because his son had quipped, "Dad, don't become a hermit." Weekends blurred into a haze of forced banter and half-hearted swings, leaving him too fatigued to pick up a brush. "I feel like I'm auditioning for my own life," he admitted in our sessions, his eyes distant. The clinking of glasses at post-game beers echoed in his ears long after, a mocking reminder that surface-level camaraderie couldn't mend the deeper fractures of unmet desires. And then there's Evelyn, the quiet force of nature who, in her 80s, still commands a room with her sharp wit, when she chooses to enter it. Pressured by well-meaning children into a vital aging class filled with yoga poses she despised and group therapy circles that pried too deep, she endured it all with gritted teeth. "They say it's for my own good," she'd scoff, "to keep me connected." But connection? It was a mirage. The class ended each week with hugs and promises to catch up soon. But those promises evaporated like morning dew. Evelyn's true solace came in stolen afternoons alone in her sunroom, sketching poetry that flowed only in silence. Yet society deemed her at risk for isolation, as if her preference for solitude were a pathology rather than a profound choice. These tales aren't anomalies. They're the rule, etched into the fabric of how we've been conditioned to age. Psychologists term it social conformity bias, a relic of evolutionary wiring that once served us well in tribal survival, but now shackles us in an era of abundance. Studies from institutions like the Harvard Grant Study, decades-long research tracking lives from cradle to grave, reveal a sobering truth. The quality of our relationships matters far more than their quantity. Superficial bonds, those obligatory threads we weave out of fear, don't buffer against the tempests of later life. They don't ward off the loneliness that creeps in during illness or loss. In fact, they often exacerbate it, leaving us with a Rolodex of names but no one to truly lean on. So, what if we dared to rewrite the script? What if, in our golden years, we reclaimed solitude not as a failure, but as a sacred sanctuary? Imagine redirecting that squandered energy toward pursuits that resonate on a cellular level. Journaling the unfiltered wisdom of a life fully lived. Wandering forest trails where birdsong drowns out inner critics, or simply sitting with a cup of tea, allowing thoughts to unfurl like petals in the dawn. Solitude isn't emptiness. It's fertile ground. It's the space where the self, long muffled by the din of expectations, can finally breathe, heal, and bloom. I've seen the transformation in those brave enough to try. Margaret began by skipping one coffee date a week, using the time to volunteer at a local animal shelter, feeding strays that mirrored her own quiet hunger for genuine connection. The energy returned, and with it, a lightness she hadn't felt in years. Harold traded his golf clubs for watercolors, and his canvases soon filled with sunsets that captured the hues of forgotten adventures. Evelyn? She dropped the class and started a private writing group with just two kindred spirits, turning her sunroom into a haven of authentic exchange. The fear will always lurk, a faint echo from childhood's playground. But in the quiet of our later chapters, we have the luxury and the imperative to listen to a wiser voice, the one that knows an empty person, surrounded by crowds, remains empty. True fulfillment isn't measured by the decibels of laughter around us, but by the peace that settles within. Let the clinking glasses fade into memory. Embrace the alone and discover that in solitude, you are never truly solitary. You are whole. My expert analysis is clear. This fear is robbing us of our most valuable asset, our ability to self-reflect. Solitude is not a social failure. It's a personal skill and a true mark of wisdom. When you realize this, you gain the ultimate benefit: freedom from the constant need to prove your worth to anyone. Part 2. Solitude, the greatest luxury. Let's get practical now. We need simple, real-world solutions. We started by talking about that moment you spend in the driveway. The power of the quiet moment. The 15-minute rule. The issue here is the rushing. Rushing home. Rushing to the next chore. Rushing into the next role. This rushing causes a sudden spike in your cortisol, your stress hormone. For older adults, our bodies just can't process and flush out that excess cortisol as quickly as they used to. Jumping straight from work stress or day-long stress into a family environment sends your anxiety skyrocketing. My solution is incredibly simple, free, and easy to implement today. Institute the 15-minute rule. No matter where you are, take 15 minutes to intentionally do nothing. Just sit there, maybe with a cup of warm tea, look out the window, or listen to quiet music with no other goal. This is your simplest self-defense mechanism to bring your cortisol levels back down, allowing your nervous system to calm down before you transition. The personal benefit is immediate. You prevent that cortisol spike and you reduce your baseline anxiety. If you will try this 15-minute rule today, please comment "Reset." Solitude also helps you prepare for an inevitable truth of life that I call the one-way train story. The issue is that sometimes we become overly reliant on others, our spouses, our children, for happiness and validation. But I always tell my patients to view life as a one-way train journey. Your loved ones can only ride with you for a segment of the trip. Eventually, the only person accompanying you to the final station is yourself. Solitude isn't a hobby. It is a vital mental preparation that allows you to cope with loss and maintain your spiritual independence. My simple, free solution is the solo stroll. Practice walking with no fixed destination, no schedule, and no one else's pace to follow. You can stop and admire a squirrel, a flower, or the sound of the wind whenever you please. The benefit is a boost in your self-confidence and spiritual independence, which is absolutely vital for a dignified, independent life. Part 3. Personal growth and relationship improvement. Let's move on to one of the most surprising benefits I've observed, that you can still experience profound personal growth and even improve your marriage through solitude. Independent thought leads to excellence. The issue is that as we age, we often fall into the trap of blending into the crowd, thinking it's too late to excel at anything. But I always remind my patients, it's never too late to learn. I often quote the insightful American psychologist, Dr. Eleanor Vance, "A superior person is more alone because everything is clear." Excellence, whether it's in your gardening, your writing, or mastering a new recipe, always requires time away from the noise for truly independent thought. Look at the writer Arthur S. Thompson. He lived in seclusion on a remote mountain for 6 years. During that time, he had no one to distract him. He read by day and he wrote by night. When he finally emerged, he had written over 100 short stories. Solitude gave him the clarity to create. Your practical solution is find your Mogan Mountain corner. This is simply a quiet corner in your home. Maybe the sunroom, a garage bench, or a secluded desk. Dedicate 60 minutes once a week to a personal project, a creative pursuit, a new skill, a research topic. The personal benefit is significant. You become stronger, you develop independent thought, and you prove to yourself that learning never stops. If you believe you can still learn new things, comment "Excel" right now. And now for the secret to a happier home. Solitude strengthens marriage. The issue here is that when you retire, you are suddenly together 24/7. This overcloseness quickly leads to suffocation and unrealistic expectations. You start demanding instant replies, or that your spouse must share every single one of your hobbies. But look at the secret of the writer Patricia K. Olson. She wrote a book called Daring to be Lonely in Your Arms. And her secret to a stable marriage was that she and her husband had separate bedrooms and separate studies, but they shared the dining room. They could sit together, each doing their own thing, without talking and without feeling awkward. Your easy-to-implement solution is the rule of separate spaces. Establish clear, respectful boundaries. The benefit is that you maintain mutual respect, you prevent codependency, and you keep the relationship fresh because you both have something new to bring to the table when you do connect. Part 4, the 3 golden blessings. These are the 3 most concrete, life-changing benefits you will gain from embracing your alone time. 4.1. Blessing number 1. Achieving clarity. The issue is, you can't see yourself clearly when you're constantly wearing a mask. The flattery of others and the demands of social politeness blur your true self-perception, making you prone to repeating mistakes. My free solution is the quiet reflection habit. Dedicate 30 minutes every day to quiet meditation or journaling. Ask yourself, did I act true to myself today? This benefit will significantly increase your self-awareness and stop you from making those same old decisions that lead to burnout. Fear 4.2. Blessing, marker 2. Achieving strength. The issue is the habit of going with the flow, becoming increasingly indecisive, and losing faith in your own judgment. My solution is the principle of owning mistakes. In solitude, you find your original self. Make your own decision and accept the outcome, even if it's a mistake. The growth you gain in that process is invaluable. The benefit is that you become self-reliant and confident, which is crucial for maintaining your independence. 4.3. Blessing, marker 3. Achieving rest. This is the most critical medical benefit. The issue is that your mind is constantly on, always rehearsing, planning, and performing social performance. This massive spiritual energy drain prevents your brain from entering the deep, restorative sleep cycles. This constant mental activity is the primary reason I see so many seniors struggling with insomnia. My simple, easy fix is the quiet hour. After a busy day, dedicate 1 hour right before bed to completely quiet activities. Reading a book, listening to soft music, or just sipping tea. No screens, no planning, no phone calls. This is your dedicated time to shed the mental armor. The benefit is profound. You will finally achieve the deep, restful sleep that is essential for a sharp mind and a healthy body. As we wrap up, let's go back to my patient, Frank. You remember him, right? He was so exhausted from trying to do everything for everyone. He was wearing that armor all the time. He thought constantly being busy meant he was still valuable. We found that the 3rd blessing we discussed, that dedicated quiet hour before bed, was the key to turning his life around. Today, Frank is not only sleeping soundly and deeply, but his relationships with his children have actually improved because he stopped trying to be everything for them. He stopped performing. He finally realized that solitude was the key to unlocking his true, relaxed self. He found peace. I sincerely hope that through these insights, you've recognized the value of these small, simple, and free changes. We've explored the 3 golden blessings: clarity, strength, and that crucial, restorative rest. Solitude is not something to fear at all. It is the true mark of wisdom and maturity, and the best way to heal in this busy, modern world. It is your right to claim this space, to be exactly who you are, without apology. But remember, knowledge is only powerful when we put it into action. So now, I have one important question for you. What is the one commitment you are making to yourself after watching this video? Will you try the 15-minute rule in your car before you go inside? Will you start the quiet reflection habit for 30 minutes each morning? Please share your personal commitment in the comments below. Let's inspire each other to take that first step toward a more peaceful life. And if you found real value and inspiration in our time together, please show your support by giving this video a like. To ensure you continue on this journey with us and never miss another video full of life-changing wisdom, hit that subscribe button. It's more than just subscribing. It's joining a community dedicated to living our best lives together. Finally, think of one person who desperately needs to hear this message today. Maybe a spouse, a friend, or an adult child who is always running on empty. And please share it with them. You might just change their life. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy, stay wise, and I'll see you in the next video.